Hello, Guardians. Welcome to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast here on Boss Rush Games. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the lore sandwich man himself, Josh Finney.
The Lord Sandwich Man. Honestly, that might be my favorite one so far. It combines two things I love, which is lore and sandwiches. We didn't even make it 30 seconds without the sandwiches.
I'm just saying, I made sandwiches for dinner tonight because my wife didn't feel very good, and I just didn't feel like cooking, to be quite honest with you. And so I made some sandwiches, and I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw some Earl of Sandwich stuff, and I gotta tell you, man, these were no Earl of sandwiches.
The amount of sandwiches and breakfast foods that have been eaten in this house during quarantine, I genuinely think we may have forgotten how to cook.
I'm telling you.
In like the last 6 months.
I'm telling you. Look.
You try to line up meals, okay? I'm awake during the day. She's awake at night for work. You do breakfast twice a day at least, and it's like, well, do I even bother having lunch at that point? Like, unless I go pick something up, do I even bother with it? So it's like, oh, this is like my third bowl of cereal today. Great.
I mean, look, you gotta cereal, man. It's if
only a little bit of it
during the apocalypse. Look, when this apocalypse hits big, cereal's going to be very important. So.
I have the power of the Force on my side. I have family size Baby Yoda king shit over here, guys.
Those are just the little, actually, Baby Yoda poops that you're eating, actually.
I think they're supposed to be his head, but they definitely look like little green turds that a rabbit would poop out.
Yeah, well, look, he looks like a alien rabbit, so, I mean.
I don't know how to describe the cereal, like the actual, like, pebbles themselves. I don't know how to describe them. But they're sweet, and they're not as bad as Corn Pops.
Yeah.
They're like a healthy mix between like Corn Pops and Cheerios, and I'm okay with that because Corn Pops suck.
Yeah,
I don't know who needs to hear that, but Corn Pops suck, and you need to buy a better cereal.
Well, if those are Baby Yoda poops, I hope he didn't have to force them out.
That was gold. That was actual gold.
I know. It was awesome. That other voice you hear joining us is the one and only WilloWisp.
Hey, guys.
Willow, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you support my dad jokes. It takes a dad to know a good dad joke.
I'm just looking at Josh face palming.
I'm just saying, I got a lot of these. I've been using the Tower Casuals Twitter account to post really bad Destiny dad jokes.
Has that been? I needed to know who to blame for that one.
Oh, it's definitely me. Definitely me. There's a really good subreddit of Destiny jokes.
No.
Although I do have to complain a lot about when people say that memes are jokes. There can be jokes in memes, but memes are not jokes. Okay, I just want to throw that out there.
Memes are not a laughing matter, children. They're a very serious matter.
They are. Take your memes seriously, people. Or
Don't
no one will laugh.
Speak your memes.
Willow, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Oh man, welcome.
You have joined the I can't call it a garbage truck on fire. You've joined the interceptor that is speeding down the hill on Mars that is on fire right now. We're rapidly heading towards the abyss more and more every week, and we've decided to drag somebody along with us.
Hey, well, I'm here for the ride, you know.
That's what
I'm
it's
here for it.
That's what it's for. So, Willow, we're gonna quiz you. We're gonna.
Oh gosh!
Look, you're
put on the spot.
So,
all right, let me have it.
We're doing this thing where we're pulling fellow Guardians into the show to ask them. Obviously, be a part of the show. Willow, you're gonna be a reoccurring human here, but we're gonna.
That's I like it.
Yeah.
Right. Were there other options?
I mean, no. No. Shh! Don't tell him. Okay. But, just so people get to know the Guardians in our community and everything, we've prepared, and by we, I mean Josh.
Okay.
Because, look, I can't believe today is Thursday. I would have told you this is like 3 Thursdays from now, the way this week is going. Okay, but, Josh.
Is this lightning round format?
Yeah, we're gonna take you. We're gonna take your quickest answers. But if you want to expand,
now I'll try.
You are welcome to expand.
You need to answer faster than Marasov evaporated when Oryx just annihilated the Awoken.
Okay, I'll try my best. Weird analogy, but okay.
All right, Guardians.
That's the kind of week I'm having, everybody.
As you know, Corey and I do this show as a duo here on Boss Rush Games with the Tower Casuals. But every now and again, we like to bring in some friends of ours, fellow content creators, fellow Guardians, maybe some dredgens here and there. But everybody always has a problem finding a group. So we're going to go ahead and consider the next several weeks the Tower Casuals LFG, the Tower Casuals looking for group. A variety of our friends and favorite content creators that we work with are going to guest with us over the next couple months leading up to Beyond Light, so you guys can get to know them, and we can all share in our collective anticipation and some hot button topics within the community. Willow, are you ready for some of the most ridiculous questions you're going to get? I want your honest answers to these.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What is your connection to the Destiny franchise? How did you get started with the game, etc.? Are you a day one beta player who likes to brag about it all the time on the internet, or are you slightly newer and are too embarrassed to admit it?
So I am a day oneer. I actually found the game via some concept art a little bit before Destiny was a thing, and fell in love with the concept art, fell in love with this idea of the Traveler, and from there just expanded. I actually quit going to community college to purchase my first Xbox One when Destiny came out.
That is some genuine dedication.
Yep, exactly.
I have a not a similar story, but I have a story kind of along those same lines. I had major leg surgery when Destiny 1 came out, and I had the Ghost Edition ordered, and I was trying to order the Ghost Edition, actually. It had gone up for pre-order like the day after my surgery. Mm-hmm. So I called my local GameStop, and thank God the manager knew me. And my dad had to drive up there and figure out what on earth a Destiny Ghost Edition was with my credit card to order it. And then my best friend had to drive me to the store a couple months later. I still was not walking and was in a wheelchair. And you're seeing one kid in a wheelchair being wheeled out with 2 Ghost Editions, one for me and one for my best friend. And they were the only ones at that store, so people are just like, what the hell?
Like,
who's this jerk over here going home with Dinklebot? All right, your all-time favorite activity across 2 games.
My favorite activity?
Your all-time favorite activity, a raid, a strike, a mode. What's your all-time favorite activity?
All-time favorite activity? No, probably not that. That's like everybody's answer.
Sparrow Racing League, I'm ending the call.
Favorite activity ever? It's got to be King's Fall?
Yes!
It's got to be King's Fall. That's peak Destiny right there. That is peak Destiny.
Picked out of the Flaming Interceptor. You don't have to.
Yes!
What specifically about King's Fall still resonates with you? It's been about we actually in about 3 weeks we're going to hit the 5-year anniversary.
Yep.
5-year anniversary.
I know. I saw on Twitter a couple days ago they just were re-showing the reveal trailer of the Taken King, and that hit me in the feels.
Oh, so good.
I just went back and rewatched all those live action trailers. Because I used to think I thought the live action trailers were pretty cool. Actually,
I really enjoyed their live action trailers.
So well, I have to ask: in King's Fall, were you one of the guys who enjoyed being torn between worlds, or were you one who just like freaked out the first time it happened? You had no idea what you were doing.
The very first time, yeah, it's got to be I was freaking out. I had no idea what was going on, but it gets better. It gets better, you know.
I think it happened in an accident on my run, and I've got. Only one person in our group had finished it, because this is like release week. Mm-hmm. It's only been out for like 4 or 5 days. He cleared it day 2 or 3, I think, and he's trying to guide the rest of us. And he's yelling at everybody to shut up and stop screaming. And he's trying to guide me and tell me what to do while still running in a circle around his pillar. And it's the funniest thing in the world, because I stopped to look down at them, and I died. I got shot by one of the boomers down below, and the whole group just starts screaming at me. they just start screaming. Meanwhile, I really personally have an affinity for the jumping puzzle that comes directly before that final encounter with Oryx, the dick wall, as it's been called. I have a strange affinity for that because
we called it the shooting dildos, but that was
the one.
I like it.
The one who actually lived. I had problems with the floating ships, but I didn't have problems with the dildo wall.
Oh, see, I think mine was the opposite. The ships were fine for me.
Oh
yeah, the ships are fine.
The ships are awful. The ships are absolutely awful. You're both monsters.
Did either of you, when King's Fall was like the big raid, did any of you have that one friend that you were just like, please don't let him be taken into the other realm? Please. I
feel like every group always has someone like that, right?
Yeah.
We also so our guy was, not only was he the guy you don't want to be taken into the other realm, he was also the guy that you don't want to do a jumping puzzle, because if he does, you've got time for a bathroom break, a beer run, whatever. You gotta go get some smokes. You can go to 7-Eleven and come back pretty quickly.
I think one time there's a place, there's like one of those like gas stations, like it's called Sheets, but it's kind of like a Wawa or like whatever, where you go in and you can actually use like the touchscreen and they give you like food and stuff, and it's like really delicious. Anyways, there's one like 10 minutes from my friend's house. My friend was so bad at the dildo jumping puzzle that we went to Sheets, ordered our food, came back, ate it, and he was still trying to get through it.
Oh, dang.
We never had that. We had a guy who was so bad at the ship jumping puzzle that literally our Sherpa was like, hey man, can you quit the raid and then look back in when we hit the checkpoint? Because this is embarrassingly bad, and I don't want people to keep seeing this to you. Like, people have gotten up to go on beer runs. They've gone taken their dogs out. They put kids to bed. And this is the easier of the two puzzles. So it's like I don't know how to nicely tell you this, but you're really bad. And I need you to drop and then come back in.
Oh man! I mean, hey, someone had to do it, right? I mean,
someone had to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So, what would your all-time favorite memory of the franchise be? Be it as a run that you did, certain friends that you've played with, even like even content reveals. Like, what would your singular favorite memory of this game be?
Oh gosh, my favorite. It would either be the introduction of Siva or, again, Oryx coming in.
Okay.
But lately, though, the new raid group I've gotten the like group kind of close to and been raiding like a few times a week. That's been really fun too. So.
Like that. Console gaming.
Yeah.
Cries in Xbox. Yeah. Cries in 30 FPS.
Hey man, 3 months. It seems like
3 months.
Yep.
No joke. I'm buying that stupid mini fridge day one just so I can play in 60 FPS.
I mean, there's literally nothing else to play on it, so I mean.
Excuse me. Gears Tactics and Microsoft Flight Simulator are about to throw some hands in the chat.
I mean, okay, Gears Tactics is actually like probably legit my game of the year so far this year, so that's fair. But I hate playing it on PC, so.
Willow, if you were to... This is where we're going to get to the fun questions. We got the serious stuff out of the way.
Okay.
If you could bring a gun from the Destiny universe into real life to use, what gun would it be and why?
I would probably
we can clarify weapons here because I forget that swords are a thing.
Oh, just anything?
Anything that causes harm to other Guardians and or aliens that is not your Sparrow.
Can I just bring the Dreadnought?
No, you cannot bring the Dreadnought. It has to be something accessible from within your inventory, sir.
Okay, that's fair. Touch of Malice, because I just can shoot it forever until I almost die?
Until you almost die. Remember, there are no healing rifts. Wells of Radiances or... oh god, what was it? Radiant. Just Radiance in general.
Mm-hmm.
There is none of that in the real world. There's no bubble.
No self-res either.
There's no self-res.
Maybe.
Touch of Malice, though, because Willow is a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could join any faction in the Destiny universe, what would it be? And why would you join them?
Any faction.
Any faction.
Even across, like, the bad guys, too?
across bad guys, the Iron Lords, the whatever, whoever, the Dredgens, whoever you want to join.
Well, the Iron Lords got shit on.
Yeah, they did. But you are the young wolf canonically. Remember that.
That is true. That is true. Oh gosh, I would just pick. Let's see. I'm just gonna pick Dead Orbit.
Oh,
I'm just gonna pick Dead Orbit.
Yes. Yeah, God, thank you.
I just got that Titan mark the other day. The one with like the white circle and like it always looks like an F, but it's not an F.
Yeah.
Dead Orbit looks the best out of all the factions.
Oh,
yeah,
it really
does.
does.
Hands down. They
do.
And let's be honest. That's the entire reason that I joined them in Destiny 1 was just because I like the black and white aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
The cloak from them, though, the ripped up Dead Orbit cloak with the radio on the back, I rocked that so much until they gave me an exotic class item, and then I logged into my D1 character there. It is still equipped on there. It has never ever come off.
It's mine too.
I'm so excited for transmog because the first thing I'm transmogging is my stupid Dead Orbit cloak, so I can wear it all the time and just make everybody like infuriated with the fact that look, Josh, god damn it, he's wearing that stupid. I can't.
I love
wait.
it. I love it.
I can't wait for it.
Oh, man.
And our final question of Tower Casuals LFG tonight: if you could hang out with any NPC and do a strike, a raid, some trials, whatever activity, pick the activity, pick your NPC, and why.
Okay, well, my activity would be, let's see, Lake of Shadows because it's super easy, and I'll take Sate 14 with me. We could be Titan Bros, and we could dual bubble, and then spin to win the boss. Easy.
Double bubble.
Yep.
Double bubble. Hubba bubba double bubble. That is the answer here. Clearly, Willow has his heart set on that.
I wish they would
As
make
always,
that
thank you.
that Shax and Saladin figure I have, the 12-inch ones. I wish they would make a Zavala one, and I wish they would make a Saint 14 one.
How do you get a Sate 14?
Do you ever pose them to like fight each other?
Well, Saladin's Shax is pretty hard to pose because he's literally just standing like with his arms at his side like this, and like he doesn't have a weapon. And Saladin, I did used to have like him holding his axe towards Shax because, well,
Just why not?
they hate each other. So, but they now stand proudly on top of my tiny bookshelf with my 15 Xbox games on it. So.
Nice. I have the Saladin as well. I really like it.
I do too. I took the cape off though because it was like really weird.
Oh, really?
I do not have the Saladin, but I do have a Titan shield that hangs up in my living room above my TV.
That's pretty cool, though.
Despite being a hunter main, they don't exactly make the Night Stalker bow or the Golden Gun. So.
Right?
I mean, for the right price, they do. Have you ever gone on Etsy or eBay?
I have, and listen, I want to be able to afford a good 4K TV and an Xbox mini fridge this fall, so I don't look for too long.
That's fair.
I also need, essential life things like a new bed,
like cereal,
so,
like Yoda
and bourbon,
like Yoda poop cereal and bourbon.
Yeah, like my Yoda.
Can't afford milk,
bourbon.
so we use bourbon instead. Milk is expensive in Texas because it spoils so fast.
When I tell y'all, it's been rough. It's been some hard times over here. But Willow, thank you for joining us for our completely ridiculous LFG questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to be a part of the show, or if you have ideas for funny questions for us to ask our guests, of course, you can hit Corey or I both on Twitter. And let us know if you want to be a part of the show too, so we can ask you ridiculous questions.
I just got this whole segment just gave me this really ridiculous show idea of something that I used to do with an old group, but it's like I'll share this idea later, but you guys might like this.
Corey, is it about sandwiches?
No, it is not.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a different show. Okay, that's a different.
I feel like the sandwich question's got to just work its way into the questionnaire.
I almost did it, and then I was like, you know what? No, we're not doing sandwich talk tonight.
I have a question for LFG.
Bamboozle.
I have a question for LFG. Will, have you ever eaten at a roll sandwich?
I have not.
He's fired.
Oh,
You just got kicked out of the Interceptor. So the
Take it.
The search for our third fire team member continues. Tune in next week to see if A1 Johnny lives up to the mantle.
You think Earl of Sandwich has like an exclusive clan that they only let people in who eat at Earl of Sandwich constantly in?
That would be incredible, and I would hands down leave my current clan for that.
Why don't we just do it? We'll just turn the Boss Rush clan into the Tower we'll turn it into EOS Sandwich Casuals.
Yeah, this sandwich. Oh my god, this is a mess. Corey, will you please take us to the exotic gang room, please?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go first. This is favorite drops of the week. I actually got a Monte Carlo this week. That was fun to use for 10 minutes, and then I put it away.
Is this your first time getting Monte Carlo in D2?
In D2, yeah. I had it in Destiny 1 for a long time.
And you got to run that Top Tree Dawnblade with that run the Yield Sun Carlo build.
Oh yeah, what?
Grenades like every 15 seconds. It's insane. Man, that'd be
awesome.
My buddy Phil runs that, and it's gross. Like we're in a nightfall, and you just start seeing fire everywhere, and you're like, well, there goes Phil. Hope you don't die, buddy. Please don't blow yourself up with all those grenades. I'm proud of you.
Oh man. I got another armamentarium too, which I've wanted that for so long, and now they just keep giving it to me. I'm like, okay, you can stop now. I got it. Thank you. Thanks. So I'm sure you guys got more interesting drops than I did. So I'm gonna. You know what, Josh, you're kind of downing on my sandwich game here, so I'm going to Willow first.
That's fine.
Second.
He's probably got more interesting drops than I do.
I don't know what happened, but I got a lot of exotics this last week. I did a couple Master Nightfalls, and the first one I had 3 exotics drop at the end. They were all I got the insurmountable skull fort or whatever. Mm-hmm. I got
I got that too this week.
What's the other helmet that is not good? It looks like a
warrior.
Yes. Yep. I got that one.
I got that like 2 weeks ago. That was my big drop 2 weeks ago.
We have aired our grievances.
Yep. Yep. I think I got the Aeon arm piece, which is trash. Yeah. And then I got the one that the Solar Titans run, I forget the exotic arm piece that type the Solar Titans. It's like no, Ashen Wake.
Oh, Ashen Wake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ashen Wake.
So those I got some other. I'm probably not gonna use them, but I might hold on to them. They're in the vault, and then I also started getting 1060 drops. So I'm at the 1060 plateau now.
Oh,
nice.
He's joined the big boys now.
Yep, I'm finally there. I only am missing my class item and boots to be 1060 across the board.
Okay.
Nice.
I think I'm 2, maybe 3 pieces away.
Nice.
Like my heavy slot, my class item, and probably my helmet, because helmet is always what dooms me.
But yeah, that was it for me.
My favorite drop this week is not a exotic. No, I'm not going to keep going back to the greatest raid week of my entire life. I have let that ship sail. I've talked about it for 2 weeks now. I actually had a drop on Wednesday I was very happy about. I got the Ikelos SMG to finally, and I kid you not, I probably have decrypted about 60 or 70 Umbrella Ingrams just of the Ikelos SMG to try and get this roll. To roll with Seraph rounds, dynamic sway reduction, and Whirlpool weapon. And I am so excited for this gun.
Nice.
And I also managed to get it to drop with instead of Whirlpool with tap the trigger, which I'm also very excited
nice.
about. Yes. I loved the Ikelos SMG when I got it in year 1. It was a complete god killer, and then I didn't touch another SMG once they nerfed it into the ground. But baby, we back. We're back in action. Recluse can finally be sunset now. I have made my peace with that. Between this and Death Adder, I'm okay with it.
Very nice. That's got to be a PvE monster.
Oh my god, yeah, that's what I play. Like the bulk of my stuff is PvE. Like I play a decent amount of PvP, but I'm not taking SMGs in the PvP really.
Right.
Like once in a while, I'll get up in somebody's face with Recluse just to troll them a little bit.
I don't know. That SMG sounds like a Trials God roll. You should just take that. You'll get 7 wins, no problem.
With
I have my summoner roll that I don't think I've ever talked about on here that I'm saving for next week that I'm very excited about. I did get summoner the last time it was up. That's the last piece of my God weekend that I had of loot drops. It is a gun that is only useful with the perk I got in Trials. It is not useful anywhere else except there in comp. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited to talk.
My summoner was so bad that I got.
What did you get on your summoner? What
No, it was not good.
I need to know what you got on it.
Okay, let me pull it up really quick. It is, once this loads.
Filling time with the Destiny song. Ghosts are cool.
Yeah.
And the shacks sucks.
I got Overflow and Rangefinder.
Okay, yeah, that's not great. I
tried like, well, maybe if I do this, it'll work. And it's like, no, it's just not good.
Yeah, no, it's not great.
Nope. But I have one. My collections tab shows that I have a summoner.
You know what? That's what matters, and that's kind of my my point on Trials right now is, well, can I get it into the loot pool and then try for better rolls like when they fix it? Cool. I'm very stoked on it, but again, saving it for next week. We'll teaser for y'all.
Nice.
Corey, where are we going to next?
We're going to the raid report. Not necessarily a raid, but your favorite in-game activity you did last week.
Last week.
So Josh, what was your favorite in-game activity you did?
Game activities. The closest I came was well, it's not the EAZ, I'll tell you that. It is absolutely not the EAZ.
Can I tell you how much that just sucks going in there? It just sucks, especially when you're by yourself.
It's a slog.
It's awful. It's just it sucks.
I want to be clear. I don't mind it. It's just
it's okay to be wrong, Josh. It's
fun.
Oh yeah, it's not enjoyable.
I don't mind it, but it's not fun. They did make some minor improvements over last year. It's fine. I view it the same way I do the Haunted Forest. Like each year I just care a little bit less and I'm less inclined to do the activity. At least the Solstice Armor, which we'll touch on in just a minute, is absolutely bitchin'. So I'm okay with having to suffer through hashtag absolutely bitchin'. No G on the end, just the IN with an apostrophe. I actually had incentive to go do it, and I may suffer through it on other characters, since you don't have to do too much once you've completed a character. But my favorite was probably all the times I did the Heroic Public on Titan. There were, no joke, 7 of us in that instance, all running around with Spin to Win. And I think the boss spawned and then died. The game went so slow, I can't quite tell when he spawned and when he died. But it happened really fast. It was hilariously bad. So that is my endgame activity, is the Contact Public event. In my defense, I was also gone for 5 days.
Yeah.
Willow, what's your favorite activity? You have been Mr. Raid Man this season.
I know,
what
I'm
is
really
your
actually
favorite?
quite jealous of how much you're rating.
Yeah, so we actually finished Garden last night.
Okay. Did anybody get Divinity?
No, we didn't. There was only a few people who had done it, so we decided to do a clean run first, and then if we want to do that again, maybe go in a second time. But that thing was crazy.
I will happily run it if you want to run it on console.
We did we didn't care about the floor disappearing at all. We just chained wells on one of the platforms and just did it that way. But it was crazy.
How many phases did it take you to drop the Sanctified Mind at the end?
I want to say the time we actually ended up completing, I think 2. But
Okay.
majority of the time, the first couple attempts we did, we were looking at about 3. But for some reason, the time we did it, we had somehow done enough.
Eventually, it all clicks. That's what happened on my run as well. It did take us 3 on my run. He had like a sliver of health left. we couldn't drop him. So like I'm sitting there going, oh my god, like I've been at this for 2 days. I just did like 7 hours the first day and 7 hours the second day and don't have a clear, and I'm getting really pissed. I went back through the whole raid when I loaded in the second day to do the divinity puzzles again with this team, and like I have the checkpoints, I have the divinity progress. I'm finishing this tonight, no matter how late I have to stay up to get it done. And thankfully that was the run, and everybody pulled out their divinities in the treasure chest room. It was fantastic.
Heck
yeah. Laser tag in the chest room is great. But I'm glad you liked it. It's probably my second favorite D2 raid.
It was very mechanic heavy too. I didn't realize that boss fight was going to be as crazy as it was.
And the raid, I personally think that Garden is made out to be way harder than it is. And I was like, man, this is actually kind of easy. Like even with like our whole team was learning it. We got to the boss though and got absolutely fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like that boss, it is, to me, it's the most mechanic heavy fight in the game.
I thought more so even than Crown, like when we were running through it.
I'll be honest, Crown when it first came out was probably on the same level of difficulty. Like Garden is going to get drastically easier in about 2 months when you have more light on you. In fact, I think it would actually be easier now than when I did it. I did it at the very beginning of the season. And it was a bad experience. I wasn't high enough, but I'm obviously like 70 higher now at least. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it though, man. It's probably I would say it's my third favorite raid in the whole franchise. Maybe
wow,
fourth.
That's pretty high up on the list.
Behind, it's for sure behind Kingsfall, Last Wish, and I kind of flirt with putting it behind Vault.
What did you not like? Wrath of the Machine?
So fun fact, Wrath of the Machine is the only Destiny raid I have never completed.
Oh, see, okay.
I have
you gotta go.
Piece of Wrath. My clan
Everybody download Destiny 1. Let's go. Let's do it.
I would go back and do a Wrath run. That raid was good.
I would gladly go back and do a Wrath run. That's why when I saw like our whole Discord getting excited for doing some D1 raids, I was like, man, call me when y'all do Kingsfall and Wrath. I would teach you in a few months, so I'm cool with waiting.
Right. I would do a Kingsfall on a Wrath again. That'd be fun.
I'd
be down.
At some
we
point.
should do a Wrath of the Machine night, just so I can say that I did it finally, like 5 years later.
Yeah. We've got to get you a clear through there.
Yeah, for sure. Corey, what was your favorite activity? I keep talking. I've been reminiscing about horrible times I've had.
Hey, man. So like you, I've been busy this week. This whole week was just like outside of the Destiny show, it's been planning and doing some other things, and it's been a crazy week for Boss Rush games in general, because we're launching that PlayStation show next week, and people are excited for it, so I guess we have to do it. But other than that, like I
guess we have to do it.
Yeah, I guess we have to do it.
Give the people what they want.
I know. I'm really excited though, because we got a lot of good people involved with that. With LaRon and Brody from Diggity Podcasts and Logan, who's kind of a newcomer here. It's pretty exciting to see, and Nelly, who was part of our women's panel a couple months ago, and she's going to be on there from time to time, I think. So it's very exciting. But so I've been doing a lot of that. I played like 2 nights this week. I just did a lot of weeklies. Nightfall is always it's like not even challenging anymore. But also I'm too wimpy to go try to do it at the higher level. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to just plow through some stuff. So I've just been doing my weeklies. I had a really good run at Gambit the other day. That was fun. Gambit is fun when it doesn't suck, I guess. It's just like a really weird way to say that, but sometimes you just get in those matches where like nobody seems to know what they're doing or how to take down the boss and everything, and it's just like, oh man, this sucks, this is going to take forever. But then you get in those matches where everybody's kind of like, even if you're not communicating with everybody knows like, okay, we got to go here, we got to get the motes, we got to bank the motes, we got to have a guy stay back to take out the blockers. It was really good. We won like 3 matches in a row. It was awesome. So that was fun. Did that stupid means to an end quest, because I feel like, I don't know why, every time it just pops up you have to do it, I feel like, and I got the stupid Menagerie one again. Dude, look, Menagerie is fun like one time through, and you're like, oh, that was neat. That was neat. But when you gotta just keep doing it to fill up that stupid bar, and you're just like, oh my gosh, can we just get out of here? I filled it up on the third run through Menagerie, like and I just saw half the fire team quit out because I think everybody was doing the same quest, and I was like, oh, they're quitting out, so I'm just gonna back to orbit. Thanks, bye, peace. So that was fun, but yeah, I think that Gambit one was actually the most fun I've had in Gambit in a long time. So yeah, that was my end game this week.
Should we shift over to the TWAB?
Yes. TWAB.
Yeah, the meaty, not meaty. The rotisserie chicken, the like picked rotisserie chicken of TWAB is like there's still some good bits in there, but for the most part,
TWAB, by the way,
not what you
is this week at Bungie. For all you people who weren't aware.
Yes.
You can continue. I was just reminding the people.
No. I realized I was speaking in just Destiny and Twitter jargon there for a second. Yes, the TWAB is this week at Bungie. This is one of the chief reasons why we moved the show to Thursdays, to record on Thursdays at least.
Oh yeah, we probably should notify and say that, like, so when this shows up in people's feeds. Probably. We moved the live show to Thursdays, so this will be sometime Friday night, probably, most likely. That's the goal. So, anyways, continue. Again, sorry.
No. It's all good. These are the chief reason why we moved. Thursdays is traditionally when Bungie drops their news. They drop trailers, announcements, etc. Almost always happen either on Thursdays or on Tuesdays at Reset. This gives us time to get through the content that hits on a Tuesday. It gives us about 48 hours try and get through it on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, at least to be able to have a conversation about it, and then to be able to cover any news that breaks on Thursday afternoons. Today, they dug into the Destiny content vault just a little bit more. We got some finer details on things that are going away. We knew about most of this already. For example, we knew which strikes were going away. We knew which planets. We knew there were going to be some changes to the raids. What we did not know was what PvP maps were going to go away. I don't think anyone's really going to be crying over too many of these maps, honestly. At first glance, is anybody going to miss Vostok at all?
Nope.
I am.
Well, you're a monster.
Nope. Not in the slightest.
I think the only one that I might... I'm looking through both lists right now so that I don't accidentally say, yeah, I'm going to miss this one, and then it's the one that I'm not thinking of. I don't know if the Dreaming City map is going away. I don't think that it is by looking at these. Well, actually, it is. The Citadel, that's the one that's going away. Fucking Fortress is staying in this game, and Citadel is going away. This is a crime. This is an absolute crime. I really love the Dreaming City map, personally. But we got that. We did hear, like, shockingly, 2 of the Gambit Prime maps are going to go away. Or Gambit maps, period, are going to go into the vault. Like, they're not going away forever, but they're going in. One of which is the Dreaming City map, which I really personally dig the Dreaming City map. I think it's a lot of fun. But thank God, I danced around my apartment upon seeing this. Kel's Grave from the Tangled Shore is
worst
gone.
map. Worst map.
The worst map of any PvP-related mode in a Bungie game ever is that map with the toxic piss that you can fall into.
Yep.
It is the absolute worst map I've ever played in a Bungie
I'm always
game.
confused where I'm at in that map, and then when I go to jump up on a platform and it just is like magically not there, and you fall into like the raging river of...
All I see when I jump around in there is I get sniped by the invader and it says Death Heals Primeval immediately. That's all I see in that map. It's bad. It's not good. There's snipers everywhere. I really don't enjoy it. You have to get into that back room, and it takes too long. Thank God it's going away. The other big Gambit change, we'd heard this talked about for a little while. They addressed it in an FAQ that they put up back in June, but I found it kind of weird that we didn't hear about this at the reveal. of the expansion. I still think it's weird that we're just now hearing about this. Gambit and Gambit Prime are merging into a single experience on November 10th. The new version of Gambit will be closer to Gambit Prime as a single round face-off with tweaked blockers, heavier moat drain, and changes to the primeval fight. We're going to give more details on these updates before it goes live next season. Unlike strikes and PvE content, the Gear 4 Gambit playlist map selection is a best of list, and it's one of those one of the edge cases that they kind of mentioned when it comes into PvP style stuff. We felt it was important to keep select Gambit maps in rotation for the best competitive play, regardless of the destination's fictional state.
Can we just agree? Before you continue, can we just agree that regular Gambit just sucks? Like that 3-round.
The 3-round needs to go, I think.
So, unpopular opinion, I've actually started to enjoy regular Gambit a lot more than Gambit Prime. Just because I don't think that the invading is as punishing. Invading and heavy ammo is not nearly as punishing in regular Gambit. So I find it easier to solo queue for that.
You can take your sandwich and get out.
If I'm playing with a full 4-stack, I don't care which one I play, because if I go in with my buddy Max, who's an invader, we all have a role. I'm the Reaper/Collector. My buddy Phil is a Reaper/Collector. John is our Sentry, and Max is our Invader. And it's unfair. Like, the other team just quits, and I love it. I like regular Gambit because it does seem a tiny bit more laid back, and you don't get your moats stolen, which I really enjoy. But I like how they're curating the new Gambit experience based on what they say here at the bottom of the Gambit section. That as they perform maintenance on the activity, Gambit Prime armor perks will be deprecated. We are exploring ways to rebalance and reintroduce some of these perks as armor mods in the future. Alongside these changes, we'll be rotating some maps in the DCV while retaining popular arenas for the mode. Making the Gambit Prime mods into armor mods instead of having to wear the full set of armor is the best thing you could possibly be telling me right now. This is incredible. I am 100% more likely to remember to slap on a mod than I am to slap a piece of armor. That does not have a good stat roll, but I have to use because of the perks. I am 100% okay with this. What do you guys think about it? Because I think that, personally, to me, that's kind of the biggest chunk of the TWAB right there, is the changes to Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the changes to Gambit are good. Like I said, I prefer the 1 round to the 3 rounds. I just think the changes are good all around. I don't, as somebody who doesn't see a lot of times myself spending a lot of time in Gambit, but we'll do it for like the weekly stuff or whatever, like the 1 round stuff, get in, get out, go. I think that's that's good for for me, who doesn't really have a lot of time to sit there and, Josh, you're into like the heavy breakdowns of the mods and the perks and everything.
Yeah.
And for someone who just doesn't play Destiny like that, like this is good for me. It gives me more time to do other activities. So
right, no doubt. I mean, it's been such a grueling experience to get the Tier 3 Gambit armor that it was so rough last year getting it pre-nerf that even when they nerfed it, it was still a ridiculous challenge. We tried doing some Tier 3 Reckoning earlier this year, and it's still the most brutally unrelenting activity in the game. Like, there's a reason why you don't see a lot of full Gambit Prime sets, and if you do, you're facing your team and they're like, oh shit, like they have a full set of Invader or a full set of Collector, like you're probably going to lose. Because it took so much to get even 1 set, let alone if you're staring at a whole team that all has the glows. It's pretty bad. Willow, you play a little bit more Gambit than Corey does, I feel. Do you do Prime or regular? Do you do any of the armor sets by any chance?
So I really only did the armor sets in Gambit Prime when that was first introduced. Okay. I traditionally now will so every week I'll do the Gambit games for the weekly Pinnacle and stuff like that. But I'll still usually go in and jump in from time to time. I enjoy Gambit most of the time. Even solo queuing, it can be a super pleasant experience. It could be a super terrible experience depending on the teams you get. But to me, it's like it's that perfect balance between PvE and PvP. I've started invading a lot more, which has been amazing. Starting to get a lot of Army of Ones, feeling good about it. So
get one more of those.
Oh, you got this. You got it. I do think the changes are going to be good. I think if they I think the 3 rounds is just a little too much because the 3 rounds is tough for people who can't play a lot of time. They can't put a lot of time into Destiny. If they rearrange it and make it more Gambit Prime in a mix of regular Gambit, it's that perfect balance between the tryhards, the sweats, and like the casual players, where it's not so grueling, it's not so time consuming.
It's like I feel the changes here are going to make it, like you said, more accessible for casual players and like just jump in and do a game, even if you're just working towards your 3 weeklies. Which, to be fair, I think that's what a lot of people play Gambit for right now. Is just what's the quickest way to get my weekly bounties done and get a powerful drop.
Yep.
I personally I will not go play Gambit just out of the goodness of my heart unless I have friends on.
Yep.
If I have friends on and I've already done my weeklies for the week, I'm more than willing to jump in and do some more, which is funny because last year I got to a point at the end of Forsaken where I was just like, I'm done with Gambit. I'm tired. It's been shoved down my throat so much this year. I'm done. I'm glad the gas seems to have been taken off that pedal with the reduction in Pinnacle and aspirational gear. Really, I guess you could say. In terms of specially curated weapons for those activities, and now with us being able to earn those in the fall through any activity, I think these are good. Like there's a way for hardcore players. Like if you really wanted to get into Gambit, and you're not just there to get gear and get your powerful. There is an avenue for you now. But if you're just a casual player, get ready because you're absolutely going to get stomped on. I'm already seeing a lot of complaints from people who don't like Gambit going, this is the opposite of what we wanted. We wanted Gambit Prime stuff gone completely. And I don't think you can do that without making Gambit drastically less interesting. I think that makes it more fun. Like you don't have to use mods in regular Crucible necessarily. You do have to have good mod selection if you're going to go do trials or go do survival. Like you have to know your loadout front and back. You can't just wear whatever you were wearing in a strike into those modes.
You can't be wearing Helmet State 14 with a Sunbreaker Titan.
Correct.
Like this
right.
guy.
Sure, power level is enabled in those activities, and I do wonder if this is going to cause a power level requirement, maybe for Gambit. Like you have to hit the minimum light for that season or something, or I don't know, if there's going to be some sort of requirement. Because if not, I mean, so many new light players are just going to get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's always going to be there though, regardless of what they do, so making it fast paced and just quicker for people's, it's going to make them.
I'm particularly excited to see how they change the Primeval fight because that to me is the most boring, stale part of it. And I think that's part of why I simultaneously, here's the thing, if I could do Gambit Prime, do regular Gambit's moat collection with the Gambit Prime boss mechanics, I'd be a lot happier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I like that you have to take out envoys at each point around the arena. That to me makes it a little bit more strategic, especially when the invader is coming. But it's not like, oh, they're going to pop up in the same place every time. Better have our snipers ready. It's like, no, the invader actually kind of has a chance in Prime. So I kind of like that a little bit more. If that's all our thoughts on Gambit, though, we do have some PvP stuff. They're actually going to take PvP modes out of the game. This is also something I was not really planning on, but it's clear they're taking modes, with the exception of one. I think there's one mode in here that actually gets played a pretty decent amount. But Supremacy is leaving, Countdown, Lockdown, Breakthrough, Doubles, Scorched, and Momentum Control. I know
I'm sad. I like Supremacy a lot, but also as a Titan with shoulder charge, Supremacy is kind of
I know a lot of people who like Supremacy. Personally, the one I'm sad to see go. I really grew to love Breakthrough this year. If you have a set fire team going in there and you're not solo queuing, that is an absurdly fun mode. I think we played 70 matches of it or something and only lost 7 or 8 across the whole season.
Very nice.
So I love running Breakthrough personally, and Momentum Control is absolutely my favorite PvP mode of the year. I think that was kind of one of the unsung heroes of the PvP rework that happened. Rework in quotes, the little bit that we got. That, for me, as a casual player, that was more of an arcade-style PvP, and that's why I really liked it. I was a lot faster paced. It almost reminded me of a Call of Duty in a sense, but fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys play Momentum or not.
No, I usually stick with Control or Supremacy. Those are like the two. I'm like, okay, well, I can.
Every time Momentum Control week comes up, that's when you go to the Crucible and you get bounties done.
Or Mayhem.
That's become a running joke. If you need kills, like, oh, Guardians count as extra, like, you just go Momentum Control and do it. And I think that's part of why it's being taken out.
Mm-hmm.
But it is important to note that and Scorched are currently slated to come back at some point in year 4. They just will not be there as we launch the year.
Yeah.
Moving on. If nobody else has anything, I'm the only person who feels a certain way about PvP right now, I think.
I mean, I don't really play a lot of PvP. If I'm playing something PvP, it's going to be Halo, I think, at this point. I've been playing a lot of Master Chief Collection just because I like to shoot stuff, and I don't know. But then I'm like, I should probably just play PvP in Destiny because I need to level up. But Halo, I was also playing a lot of Halo because I was excited for Infinite, which is now not happening soon. So
sad faces.
Yeah, Amazon now has it listed for holiday 2021. By the way.
Yeah, I think that's honestly an innocent mistake. I don't really trust Amazon pages anymore.
That's fair.
They've been wrong too many times.
They also said Prince of Persia is coming out in November, so.
So the Prince of Persia thing supposedly is real, according to Jason Schreier, but he was going off a different leak and not an Amazon one. Bottom line is, Amazon has told me ridiculous things in the past, so I don't trust them.
Jeff Bezos lied to us.
There's no way. Bezos, you can take your Bezos bucks away. There is no way that game is coming. If it's coming out holiday 2021, then Microsoft should be ashamed they ever planned on it releasing this year. That's all I have to say on that matter. But back to our juicy Destiny goodness. This is a brief aside to answer a question that Will had, which was about the Prophecy Dungeon. It will not be available on day 1, but it will only be gone for a brief period to allow them to make a technical update, and they are going to release details on dates and timing for that soon.
Yeah, because wasn't it coded for the way that things were working now, and then they're changing a lot of things when
I believe so. I have the personal conspiracy theory that the Prophecy Dungeon was supposed to go live in the fall, just because it's kind of like randomly there. And when they saw the negative reception to Season of Worthy, they're like, well, this piece of content is done. We should throw it into our rivals. That's my personal conspiracy theory I have zero basis for, but it's my headcanon now, so I'm going with it.
That's fine. I believe you.
I mean, it does feel a little random, though. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. In terms of the story, it's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, not like the Shattered Throne, which, ties into the whole curse cycle. In fact, it's what kicks off the curse cycle, really, and then, or causes it to continue in a loop. It's the back end of the curse, if Last Wish is the beginning. And Pit of Heresy does tie pretty deeply into the moon. We don't really know what the purpose is here yet. And I feel like that's part of what's going to drive the mystery of the seasonal content for next year, leading into Witch Queen. That's, again, personal conspiracy theory time.
Plus, I wonder how Stasis is going to play into the Prophecy Dungeon, if it's going to change it at all. I mean, I haven't seen enough of the Prophecy Dungeon to really get a feel of if those stasis powers are going to change a lot of it.
I don't think so initially.
I don't think initially. I do think that some of the abilities will make some parts of that dungeon easier. I do think that the traversal techniques, especially with the ice grenades we've seen, I think that's going to make the boss fight at the end a little bit easier, and maybe recovery on some of the platforms. But I can't see it impacting it too much. General mental abilities really don't play into it a ton, to be frank. So, can you tell light from dark? That's the main thing you need to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Basically. And Ride Your Sparrow good. Down Rainbow Road.
And Ride Your Sparrow good. Totally throw on some Daft Punk and listen to the Tron soundtrack while you're doing it.
Yep, exactly.
The final part of this, and probably the thing that I think we were all kind of bracing for, but we weren't really sure how they were going to handle it, is in regards to exotics on destinations that are sunsetting. Basically, any exotic quest that originates on a planet that is being sunset, you need to go ahead and grab it now and do it. If you plan on doing the original quest, which for most of these, it's okay. If you haven't done Sleeper Stimulant at this point, or Polaris Lance, should probably just sit that one out. World Line Zero, you can sit that one out. Like, get those from the kiosk. There will be a kiosk in the tower.
Yep.
Sit those out because those are really annoying ones. But I think that if you have not done Legend of Acreus, I think that's actually like a really fun one to do, and everybody should do the Leviathan at least once. The two that really shocked me that they're going to sunset the quests for are The Last Word and Ace of Spades. I did not expect those to be sunset. The Ace of Spades one does make sense since you do technically do the mission on Titan. But those are two. If you have not done those, I highly encourage everybody who is a fan of lore or of just really fun, unique one-off missions. Those are two really good ones to go do, especially as a final goodbye to Cade.
Tearjerker.
Yeah, it's a tearjerker. If you have connections to Cade, if you're really invested in like the Thorn and Last Wish story, I think the flavor text you get during both of those quests are also really good to read. Of course, you can access that online, but I think it really hits differently in the game, especially as a gunslinger hunter. I'm going to be biased and be like, that's one of the coolest quest lines that they did was tying Thorn, Last Word, and Lumina together all last year. That was a really fun quest line for me. But among the other ones, if you have not bothered to do it yet, Izanagi's Burden. Do not do Izanagi's Burden if you are still grinding out for that rare bounty from Ada. I
still have that in my inventory. Yep.
That is the worst one. It is entirely predicated on chance. I feel bad for everybody. They're not, and it's important to note, none of these are being removed. The original quest method is being removed. They have confirmed that there is going to be a memorial kiosk, and they're going to talk to us a little bit later how the exotic archive is going to work later on this season. Cosmo also has confirmed they left off Anarchy and Teraba from this list. People are like, oh, you're just going to be able to use an exotic cipher and get them. And he's like, no, not so fast. He did reply to this on Reddit right as we went live, saying, no, that's not how it's going to work. There will be a new quest line that we'll share with you as we get closer.
So basically all these new exotics are getting new quests if they're...
Oh, yeah, a lot of the big ones are going to get new quests. I think some of these will probably be available via just using an exotic cipher, but I think like La Monarch and Jotun, which have already had a new quest thrown on them, they were a random drop, then a quest was associated. I think those ones will be available to get with a cipher, but like Izanagi's, get ready to work for it. Bad Juju, you're going to work for it. And rightfully so. Like these ones that originally had, maybe not Bad Juju, but like Izanagi's, like the amount of crap you had to go through to get that gun. Like, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody got any specific thoughts on that before we move on to the catalysts?
No,
go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Josh about, so for Europa, in terms of strikes, it looks like they only have one listed with two old strikes coming back. What are your thoughts on one new strike only?
So I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt here and say they're just saying redacted now to not set expectations too high. I do think that there's going to be more than one strike on Europa for the record, but it's also important to remember that they've already told us we're getting 3 strikes coming out of the vault. Will of Crota will, of course, be available at launch, and Fallen Saber and Devil's Lair will be available. I believe they said the season after. They don't explicitly say it here, but they have said it on in the reveal video, I believe. They confirmed that those are going to come in season 13. I'm okay with this. If we I think if we really truly only get one new strike on Europa, I think that's disappointing. I do think there's going to be more, but there's also the possibility with how they're changing up seasonal structures and with the vault, they can pull anything out at any time.
Right.
I would not rule out getting the Tannic strike or the summoning pits pulled out for the moon at some point this year. I actually pretty firmly believe that we're going to get those, and likely I think the Crota raid will probably be revamped into a 3-man dungeon next summer. Those are my personal beliefs. I think that they're going to find a way to give us old content, but in new ways, and I think that would be a really good thing to do. Focus on those, and we have no idea, like Vault of Glass. I mean, I know the prevailing theory is oh, we're just going to go in on Nessus. It's a Vex construct. You can enter from multiple different points anywhere in the galaxy. Just like we found the gate to the Black Garden on the moon, whereas previously you had to do it through Mars. I think there's a possibility that, we don't go in through Nessus and instead, surprise, Venus is back. We didn't tell you guys last year because we wanted to save something for spring. I think there's definitely, with the way they're changing the seasonal structure, we don't want to think of it like this anymore. We want to think of it more like the Forsaken Pass, like almost as a fusion of the two. So I think that's where I kind of fall is. I think we're going to get a lot more pulled out. Like, why throw all your chips down on the table right now? Like, set the expectation that this is what will be their day one, but be like, guys, it's like some other stuff that's going to come. Like, you're getting a new raid. I've never seen an expansion launch with only one strike. You are definitely getting more than one strike. And they're not just going to be like, oh, well, you got a reprise strike, you're fine. Like, no, they're going to give you another brand new strike. I will virtually guarantee it. I'll do something ridiculous if they don't. We'll figure out something absurd for me to do.
I wonder if
they don't do.
I wonder if they'll have like a strike that's like kind of like a big deal, like when they like in the beta for Destiny 2 when they made what strike was it that they made like this huge deal out of? The one where you like fall through the floor at the end.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean,
the one with the drill. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. But like they made it a big deal, and I wonder if they're gonna do that and be like, we told you you were getting one strike, but here's the other strike, and it's got really cool encounters, and it's like somewhere halfway between like a normal strike and like a dungeon. Maybe there's like puzzle mechanics or something.
I think it's and I think it's important to note, just because like it says redacted, and not that I'm saying you jump to a conclusion or anything, but I think it's really easy for us when we just see a bullet point, it just says redacted, for us to assume like, oh, this is just one thing. I think that's a really useful tool for developers to say like, here it is, like, oh, redacted. Like, I mean, you could get 3 strikes out of the redacted. But this community in general really likes to overreact to the slightest thing that Bungie says.
No.
And again, like not something you're doing. We're having an actual conversation about this.
Right.
But I do think it's easy to jump to it because I kind of had the same thought at first. I was like, oh man, like when it says redacted for raid, you are only getting one raid. I promise you.
Right.
You're not getting
Exactly.
two.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't been on the internet in a while, but I have a hard time believing anybody overreacted to anything.
Anything Destiny.
Our
last thing, because I do want to wrap this up so we can get to a very juicy and meaty lore corner this week, is we are actually getting some catalysts that are going to sunset. I also did not expect this. Among the ones that are going to get sunset are Bad Juju, the Huckleberry, Izanagi's, Acreus, Sleeper Stimulant, Telesto. Anything pretty much tied to a raid is going to get sunset. It's going to get thrown into the vault. What is curious about these is the Sleeper Stimulant, Telesto, Worldline, Outbreak, and Whisper of the Worm Catalyst will be made available at some point in the year. But Legend of Acreus, Polaris Lance, and Izanagi's, like Bad Juju, you want any of those, you're going to have to not only earn the catalyst, you have to complete and equip the catalyst for it to count. Otherwise, it's going to be removed from your inventory. So that's like mildly annoying, I think, especially in the case of something like Legend of Acreus, which is tied directly to completing the Prestige Leviathan. Not that the gun is really useful anymore, but it's still a little aggravating. I do like that they're going to make the Sleeper and Telesto catalysts available for everybody eventually, though, because those are tied to the 2 raid layers from year 1 on Prestige mode, which nobody wants to go do those on Prestige ever. Yeah, and I think that kind of covers it. Like, y'all got any thoughts on that sunsetting? Oh God, I can't believe I forgot this. We do actually have one last thing to talk about, something that took me by surprise. I expected the Whisper of the Worm mission to be sunset. I did not expect to see 0 Hour sunset. Do y'all feel any sort of way about both of those?
I feel like it's obvious that Whisper was going away.
Yeah.
I can't.
That was the core. Like I said, I was kind of expecting Whisper. 0 Hour really caught me off guard. I actually had to double check when I saw a tweet about it that said, "Oh my God, like 0 Hours being sunset." I did not expect that one personally.
It does seem random, but I mean, hey, something's got to go. to make room for other stuff.
Right. And
I mean,
I've shared this theory before that I don't think it's going away. Like, of course, going to the vault doesn't mean you're going away forever. I do think that this is a way of biding time until they can get enough people to change consoles, to upgrade to a mini fridge or a Wi-Fi router, whichever one you choose to play on. And then, surprise, we figured out how to do a new engine and get off the Halo Reach engine finally after 10 years. So, hey everything's back and compressed. I do think that if you're going to build, because they're explicitly building it as an MMO now. Like, some of the text that I saw in here, like, it's explicitly referring to it as an MMO, and I don't think I've first seen it referred to that way in, like, actual Bungie stuff, like, not just them talking out loud.
Oh, like actually written out? Because I've heard, like, when they split from Activision, they actively started calling it an MMO.
Okay. So I think if you're going to build, and this is kind of going off on a tangent a little bit, I think if you're going to build it as that, you then, the expectations to your game then get raised to that of an MMO. And, like, one of the comparisons I've seen a lot of today is, well, ESO is the same size as this game, which it is. And it has a ton of content in it, which it does. I also think ESO doesn't have to worry about weapon balancing, like, nearly as much as a shooter with a competitive component does. But it's also all in the engine. Like, this is an archaic engine, and it's been described as a nightmare to work with as time has gone on, from what I've heard. So just, like, at what point does all this back maintenance and some of the patches they've deployed, like, they haven't had to get certified because, oh, this is a server-side fix because we've adjusted stuff, we can change this ourselves. With such a major change coming to Gambit, do you think there are some engine changes coming this fall?
I mean, I'm sure there's slight engine changes, but nothing like, it's not like they're going to change out the whole engine and make you download a new client, right? Like, I feel like,
I think that's next year.
Yeah, I really
believe that's next year.
No, I agree with you. I think with what they are kind of planning, and, you know, we have after this we have 2 expansions at least in the near future. Like, if they're going to want to support this game for another 3, 4, 5, 6 years, they're going to need to get off that Reach engine, right? Like, Don't get me wrong, Master Chief Collection Reach looks beautiful, right? It looks all like
it's still a gorgeous game, but there are clearly limits to the engine, and specifically in regards to file size, like delete old audio or something. I don't know.
Plus, like, if they want to start doing more live-ish events like that, like you know, like they've openly said that it takes them weeks or months sometimes to implement changes that on newer engines takes a week or so, right, or a couple days maybe sometimes. So I think it would be smart for them to do that. I think they would actually have to probably shut the game down for like 2 or 3 days to actually implement that, I feel like.
The tech behind the Almighty explosion was described as nothing short of a miracle to be done in that engine, so take that however you want.
No, I remember that. So it's just, I would love to see them do that, like a couple times a season, have just like a live event, because Fortnite can do it on a whim, right? Like, that's, and I know it's a different type of game and it only takes place in one kind of small island or whatever, but it's still like,
take the Microsoft money and do it.
Yeah, it's still
use that Game Pass cash.
Yeah, right. Like, it's impressive. It's so impressive what Fortnite can do on a whim, and I would love to see Destiny do that. You know, but it's going to take time. It's going to need a new engine. Like, that engine is archaic at this point. You know, you can see it. You can see that game just busting at the seams in some places, and it's just like, it's a miracle that this game even runs sometimes.
Pretty much. Willow, you got any thoughts before we move away from the end of the TWAB?
I just think Corey wants a giant Travis Scott in the tower.
I do. That'd be awesome.
So much. God. All right.
He's not wrong. I just want him stomping around, you know, with the Traveler behind him as like a giant, you know, disco ball with some lasers coming out of it and stuff, you know.
Yo, you need to be
stopped. I like it.
You need to stop. You need to be stopped.
I hope he's eating a sandwich too.
What do you think? What kind of sandwich do you think he eats?
I don't know. What is Travis Scott's official Earl sandwich?
I hate both of you. They're gonna block us.
No, they're not. They're gonna follow us. They're gonna be like, please eat our sandwiches every day.
Oh
We will send
With
you
that,
a.
we're gonna
if-
move to the more sophisticated.
No, here's a real
part
question
of
though. Here's a real question though. If Earl Sandwich would sponsor us, and the only requirement was that we eat a sandwich on every episode, would you do it?
I mean, they would have.
I mean, that's free food, right?
Yeah, I expect to eat a Hawaiian barbecue every Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern.
I mean, yeah. I would take an original. I would take a BLT. Look, I need like 4 different sandwiches, right? Like, and I'll eat one a week, and then, yeah.
I'm gonna pull up the menu so I can find a sandwich I'd like.
You think Earl of Sandwich has a lore corner?
Oh yeah, they've got to. Sandwich lore?
Yeah.
Menu.
To be fair, Josh, this is kind of both of our faults that this
Farts.
yeah, farts.
I hate you both so much.
This is kind of both of our
So
faults
much.
that we just talked
Well,
about.
while Willow is looking up his
Ooh.
ideal sandwich to tell us, at
Definitely the
end of
Italian. Definitely the Italian.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't not to wait for the end of the show. The man just threw it out there for us. All right, we're gonna move on to a fan favorite segment.
Sandwich
so pull up a
casuals.
chair because it's time to sit by the fire and go to the lore corner. Time to head to the Tower Library tonight
Woo.
to learn about the Osinium Court.
You think when Zavala goes to his lore corner,
Oh my gosh.
you think he wears like his armor in his chair when he's drinking his like
I think
Diet
Zavala
Sprite?
wears a toga. I think he wears a toga in the tower.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or he's just like strolling around in like basketball shorts and a t-shirt. Like
No, I think he's like a nightshirt guy, but not like just like a nightshirt, like one of them really long old Charlie and the Chocolate Factory style nightshirts.
So, we're gonna talk about a couple things tonight. The 2 things that we're really gonna tackle tonight are the Osnium Court, and we're gonna talk about the nature of the sword logic. We were going to squeeze the Ascendant Realm in, but there is so much juiciness here that we're actually gonna save the Ascendant Realm for when we talk about Savathun. It matters just a tad bit more to her story, and I feel like everyone kind of has a grasp on what the Ascendant Plane actually is at this point. So the Osnium Court. Story begins eons, like millions of years, basically, before the events of Destiny 1. Before the Traveler comes to the Sol system, before it causes the Great Whirlwind, this and that, on a far-off planet called Fundament, a gas giant. The Osnium King, who's never named, is towards the end of his life, 10 years, which was an extraordinarily long life for the Proto-Hive. Gives birth to the final 3 members of his brood, the sisters Arash, Zero, and Sathona. A rival race from one of the moons of Fundament. The Helium Drinkers invaded and attacked the court at the behest of the girls' tutor, Taux, who did not believe that the girls were fit to rule. Believed the king had kind of lost his marbles. They slay the king, but the sisters escape, and they spend the next year wandering the seas until discovering an ancient ship that is kind of protruding from it. As they go into it, it takes them 2 years to get the ship operating and running. Zero wants to go and sell the ship, but Arash and Sathona decide to follow the guidance, I guess you could say, of a worm that they found washed up on the shore that was once in their father's care. Keep worms in mind. It's going to be a recurring theme throughout today's segment. But Sathona could hear the worm speaking to her. So Arash and her they overrule Zero, and they start heading down towards the core. And they encounter a Leviathan who cautioned them against going deeper. The Leviathan told them that going any deeper was a choice between the sky and the deep, the light and the darkness. It's kind of implied that the Leviathan was a being of the Traveler. It's hinted at that, and this is all found in the Books of Sorrow, by the way. Of course, they ignored the warning, and they followed the worm that Sathona had saved, and they encountered the Hive, who would become the Hive Worm Gods. Yul, Ir, Aka, and, of course, Zol. The worms claim they've been trapped in the core of the planet for millions of years by the Traveler, and they've been beckoning champions to make their way down to the core to prove their worthiness. They made a deal with the sisters and offered them immortality if they served them, telling them as their power grew, the worms' appetites would grow as well. What they didn't know is this would amplify their natures. So for Arash, it was ruling. It was cunning for Savathun, and it was war for Zero. They were reborn once they accepted the pack. Zero as Zivu Arath, Savathun as Savathun, and of course Arash would not fully take the name of Oryx quite yet. Arax, more like, was her name, and decided to become a king instead, so accepted the power from the worm gods and became male. It's very strange how that whole plot line unfolds even as you're reading it. It kind of infers that they can be both gender, they're gender neutral. Not really sure how to describe within the context of this in the universe. The siblings later would liberate their people, and they would create the first hive using the power of the worm larva. And they gave the remaining people a choice, the remaining proto-hive a choice: join them or be completely wiped out. Most of them accepted the worm larva, and thus the hive were born. They built ships and ascended to the moon, where Talix was hiding among the helium drinkers. And Oryx was willing to negotiate, but Savathun wasn't, and killed him, starting the first in a long line of cycle of the sisters and the brother killing each other. It was after this that Oryx would be, or RX, sorry, we haven't reached Oryx. RX would come back completely merciless and bloodthirsty and wipe out everybody on the moon. And at this point, they realized that they had been deceived by the worm gods and started conspiring to kill them all. Upon slaying the worm god Akka, RX became Oryx officially and discovered the power to take, creating tablets of ruin within the Ascendant realm, and created the tithing system that is used to this day among the hive castes, where you have to prove your worthiness within the hive, creating what we call the sword logic. Dun, dun, dun.
Sword logic.
I'm going to try to break down the sword logic as easily as we can. We hear this thrown around a lot. It's become increasingly more relevant. Of course, we first learned about it through Crota and Oryx, and it has kept being there at the forefront of the Savathun discussions now too. With talk of it a few weeks ago, we talked about the murder battery she's creating, which is a complete rejection of the hive caste system in a way. The sword logic can probably most easily be summarized as the complete rejection of the Traveler's ideals. It is the exact opposite of what the light fights for. Weaker individuals must be defeated by a stronger creature, and existence is struggle within the sword logic. Everybody is meant to struggle with the most powerful beings coming out on the top, hence the tithing system that is created. The ultimate goal of this power of conquest and proving oneself is to create an ascendant realm, and it's also the secret of learning how to take individuals. One must be completely and utterly ruthless and nihilistic towards their enemies in order to learn this power. To our knowledge, Oryx is the only person who has ever had the ability to take, although it is strongly suspected that Savathun, because she has coveted this power, that she has now gained the ability to take somehow, whether it's through her or whether it's through Kira. Sorry, thought I heard something. Through Kira.
It's that trombone right across.
Vex Mind.
Yep.
It's through one of those methods, and we're not entirely sure. That is likely something that will be hinted at over the next year, if not towards the end of this season. How exactly has she come to get this power, leading into the events of the Witch Queen? So, with all that being said, we were originally going to attack on the Ascendant Realm. We were originally going to do Savathun on this as well. But Savathun, literally, she demands her own episode, maybe even two, just based off what we know her at this point from operating in the shadows. And that's before she's even made her grand debut in the story. That's a lot. This is the most we've ever known about an off-screen character, to my knowledge, in the universe before they physically have shown up. We did not know this much about Crota or about Oryx before they showed up, that's for sure. We didn't know anything about Callus before he showed up. This is completely different. We've known about Savathun since The Taken King, and we're still a year off, presumably, from her full debut. So
Yeah.
that is the lore snippet for this week.
That's I mean, I feel like I've been watching some Bife videos on Savathun, and it's like he, like, even in his own videos, he's like, I'm not even sure if this lore is real yet, because she's such a manipulator and a trickster, like, that you just don't even know.
We know that she's already impersonated Eris Morn once to the Guardian.
Yeah.
Through the Truth to Power lore book that is obtained within the Dreaming City. And they've done some fun hints, such as the first time somebody got to 999 power, because it was literally in the lore, like 999 was relating to the Shattered Throne.
Yeah.
That, oh, this will break the curse. And when the person got to the end and beat it solo by themselves and nothing happened in game, everyone's like, oh, this sucks. And Bungie released a statement the next day saying they'd been watching, and like, but in that, it's like Savathun is like interjecting into the written statements, like basically saying like, we're gonna meet soon. And it's like, oh my god, like this is so cool that they're taking these sort of steps with building the universe. Like, we're acknowledging, we're watching what you're doing, and you're trying to see if we're lying to you or not. Like, are you being played by her? And there's a really strong possibility that we are at this point, and it's just so exciting. There's so many things you can still do with the Osnium Court, but I do want them to wrap Savathun and Xivu Arath up in the next expansion, because I'm kind of over the Hive and the Taken in general right now. Even though they are probably both of those are the most physical embodiment of the darkness out of any of the races. They really are the darkness. In a lot of ways. They are the enemies of they are the true enemies of the Traveler. I'm sure the Vex may align with and worship some Vex sects, like the Soul Divisive worship the darkness, but the Hive, it's complete. The Hive's entire religion is basically tithing to Oryx or Savathun or Xivu Arath, who in turn rejected the worm gods, and they basically worship the darkness at this point. That's why Savathun is so desperate to keep us from communing with the pyramids right now, is feeding into her whole embodiment of wanting to possess that power for herself and not for the Guardian. She desperately wants the Hive to be picked and not us again. So
yeah.
Willow, you did a lot of the reading that I did as well. What were some of your takeaways that maybe we didn't touch on?
I mean, you went over it like
the war corner, guys.
You obviously went over the story pretty well. Actually, today I watched more of I watched some Biff. I watched the episode on Savathun and listened to the whole exchange Savathun had with Nokris, where I think she wanted to figure out how to do necromancy, because that's what Nokris is all about. And then so Nokris is like, yeah, but you got to give me knowledge for knowledge. And so that all happens, and then when Nokris, the vision or whatever, ends, and he's just in a room with a dead thrall, and he's like, well, that's cool. It's just hard to know what Savathun is doing, because in that clip, it's like, we don't know. Everything she's about is being cunning and trickery. So like anything that we've heard or seen regarding Savathun, how do we know if that's even like legit at this point, I
mean, yeah, that's kind of the general rule of thumb that I follow. Like at this point, unless it's been like directly in game, like dialogue between characters, like it's coming from Eris essentially, because Eris knows that the best, or it's coming from the Books of Sorrow, I think it's best to view any information about Savathun as like at best misguided and misdirection, at worst an outright lie. And I think that's why it's so interesting. They're letting us know a full year in advance, like, hey, Witch Queen is coming next year. Like, holy crap, we've got a whole year to build up the Witch Queen. Like, but then later on that day when they debut Season of Arrivals, you're like, no, she's here right now. Like, she is in the solar system somewhere. I suspect on the Dreadnought. I've been riding this for a long time. I thought the Dreadnought was coming back this fall. I think there's still a chance that
I'd love it to come back
next year. I do not think you can end the story of Savathun without a return to the Dreadnought. We already know there's been Hive loyalists that have attempted to revive Oryx from death, but he is currently living within a scout rifle in the possession of Eris Morn.
Yup.
That certainly won't come back to bite us in the butt somehow.
No.
There's the Osnium Court storyline is I don't want to say it's just getting started, but we're approaching a crescendo. Within the next 6 to 12 months, the train brakes are going to go completely out on us, and that's it. I would say probably sometime after the dawning is when you can expect that to pick up, and by the end of next spring, that's probably all we're focusing on. The Fallen will be done. Like we're approaching the end game now. Like there's going to be an Avengers Endgame moment taking this bitch down. So.
Doesn't Shax have like a skull or something that she can peek through in his area?
Yeah, Shax does. We can address that real quick. Shax has an Ahamkara skull above him, which he's had above him this whole time. Had a Neil Tower, has it here. And there's actually some fun dialogue in the Prophecy Dungeon about it while you're traveling through the sands. And Eris and Drifter are talking about it. And Eris is like, you need to tell that daft fool to take it down. That needs to be taken out of the tower. Savathun is watching our every move, and it could even be influencing her. With her arrival, relics of the dark and relics of the dead are coming back to life. I'm blatantly terrified for what that could mean for some of our favorite tower NPCs. I do not want to fight Shax. I think we would all just get killed anyways. He is going to mountaintop bag us, and I'm not excited about it. No,
I hope you're talking about the weapon. I hope that's not what he calls whatever's happening inside of his armor.
The mountaintop is Shax's personal gun that he used at the Battle of Six Fronts. So no wonder it's so OP.
We were talking about the weapon. Good. Kind of concerned.
Well, that was like last week's interference mission. That tab had presumably Savathun peering through that skull and looking at what we would presume Zavala, I believe.
Yeah, and so Zavala is an interesting case. We're kind of gearing up to do a little bit of Zavala here in a few weeks. Start a whole series on the denizens of the tower once we've gotten through the rest of the Osnium Court. And man, there's been so much Zavala stuff that's come out this season alone, and I think it's kind of I know it's certainly changing my perspective on him. A guy that I make jokes about, like, oh, he's so strict and rigid, but the death of Cade affected him a lot more than he's ever led on to the player character. And in the lore, we see him really grappling with it. We see him really struggling with it this season, particularly with the Exodus lore that is going to happen. We're getting the next batch of that, presumably the next and final batch, at the beginning of September when we do the second part of Exodus Evacuation. And in it, I don't like to go into leaked lore, but there are some moments between him and Anna where you kind of wonder, like, man, if Cade was still alive, would Zavala act this way? Would he be, so protective of the rest of his family? Like he's like determined to get as many of them to the tower as he can. Like the pyramids are closing and he feels like he's fighting a losing fight. Like we really see a vulnerable side to him that we've never seen before in this game. That's something that's really being exposed this season. So I kind of wonder, like you almost wonder, like, of the Guardians that would possibly take the darkness. I mean, if you had asked me last season, if you had asked me during Worthy, like Zavala, Ikora, who in the tower would you expect to take it? I would never have said Zavala. Now I'm kind of wondering, like, would Zavala do it if it was the best way to protect humanity? Because that's because Zavala does not have allegiance to the Traveler. He has allegiance to humanity. He will protect the humanity by any means necessary. So would he embrace stasis? Would he embrace the darkness to protect the last city? Would he do it? And I think the answer is absolutely yes.
I think that's even said in that one of those lore tabs, is that his willingness to do whatever it takes to do what he thinks is right. And then just look at his willingness to like connect with Eris in some of these missions and stuff, like reaching out to the pyramids,
which is something that before Cade's death, not even before Cade's death, but I really feel before the Rasputin incidents in Season of the Worthy, he would never have done.
Right.
He pretty much admits that to you at the beginning of the season. Like, Rasputin saved us all. I admit I was wrong. Like, working side by side, we can do anything. And then he's like, he's crushed finding out that Rasputin is not operational anymore. Like, he finally trusts this AI after years of telling us not to. He finally trusts it, and boom, he's gone. Like, like 2 days later in game time, he's gone. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about with Zavala. But I'm going to turn it back over to Corey. I have been talking for far too long.
No, I like
about juicy lore goodness.
I like juicy lore. Juicy lore is my favorite. That's actually the adults only version of the show is called Juicy Lore. We're creating a OnlyFans, or what is it called? That right? OnlyFans, just with, juicy lore. And that's
you know how many names I've seen with playing on PC that's like Savathun's OnlyFans or like Mara's Juicy Thighs. Or stuff like that. I see it all the time.
I saw there was a clan named Marasoft's OnlyFans.
I see it all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the other one? Thornhub was one.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
I laughed really hard. I was like, yeah, would anybody be insulted if I went and joined that clan instead? They're probably all jerks, but
probably.
Well, you know.
I like it.
That might have to be that might have to be a new thing. What's the funniest clan name you saw this week? I saw one was like Cabal's Cabal Balls and somewhere that I'm not gonna say out loud.
I'm down for that. I get to see some funny stuff.
Podcast.
I did see somebody when I was playing Gambit this week. His name was Gurgle My Cabals.
Jesus Christ. Bungie, what is wrong? What is happening over there? Who's allowing these clan names?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to Tower Casuals. We have moved the live show to Thursday.
Tower Casuals, the extra long episode.
Hey, give the people what they want, you know?
Yup. Sandwiches.
Right. Yeah, sandwiches.
God dang it.
Yeah, extra crispy. Some mayonnaise, some bacon. Give me that original though. Sometimes the original is just a good palate cleanser, you know? Just saying. It's just a roast beef with the cheese and some
Yeah.
Anyways, Tower Casuals live shows moved to Thursdays. You can catch us live on Boss Rush Games Live on Twitch. You can also catch the shows on your podcast service and or YouTube on Fridays, asterisks. So,
redacted.
Yeah.
we can just pull it this week a bunch of
at some point, the asterisk makes me sometime in year 4, Corey. We can't get
yeah, come on.
Willow, you want to remind everybody where they can find you and things like that?
So Twitter and Instagram, I'm WilloWisp TV, no spaces, and then WilloWisp TV on Twitch.tv as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Josh, where do we find you?
As always, guys, Twitter, @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. Follow me for my scathing hot cereal mishaps. My rage playing of Battletoads that is going to commence. And, of course, a grown-ass man crying over Last Evolution Kinza from Digimon, because that's what we do at 28 now, apparently.
Hell yeah.
His OnlyFans link is in his bio.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna just take you to the lore corner on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's gonna take you to Bife videos.
There you go. Geez. His 4-hour one, The Story of Destiny.
Yeah.
Mine's like Tumblr nudes. His is the OnlyFans. His is stuff you actually pay for.
Yep.
Yeah. That's right. I just said that out loud.
What would Zavala's OnlyFans page be like?
I hate you. End the episode. I hate you so much.
I feel like Zavala's like a foot guy, you know?
Yeah, I kind of do too.
He's got to be a feet. He's a feet guy.
Yeah. You can find me at IamCoreyHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on various other shows here on Boss Rush Games. Subscribe to our family of shows. This is not the only show we do. Make sure you check out our PlayStation show next week if you're into that. Arsenal X, our Xbox show, Sunday nights, Nintendo Power Block, and of course the Boss Rush podcast. I want to thank everybody so much for watching and or listening. And we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.